It was a peaceful night on Earth. The stars glittered in the clear sky, and the world was calm. People slept, unaware of the strange event that was about to unfold. But far above them, in the vast emptiness of space, something incredible was happening. A massive ship appeared from the darkness of space, far bigger than anything the humans had ever seen. Its shape was unlike any earthly craft, sleek, metallic, and glowing with strange, alien lights. It was a ship from the Galactic Empire, and it was heading straight for Earth. The ship's engines hummed with power as it moved closer to the planet. On board, the alien ambassador, a being of great power and influence, stood calmly. He was used to making important decisions, to dealing with strange worlds and unfamiliar species. But this mission was different. Earth was a primitive planet, far behind in technology. The ambassador had seen worlds far more advanced, yet something about Earth intrigued him. He had heard rumors of humanity's potential, how they could one day become a force to reckon with. His task was simple: come to Earth, deliver the Empire's message, and return with information on whether the humans could be trusted. The ambassador's sharp eyes watched Earth grow larger as his ship approached. His mind was focused on the task ahead. He had dealt with countless civilizations, but none like this. He had read about Earth's history, its wars, and its struggles. But what he didn't know was how quickly the humans would react to his arrival. Below, on Earth, panic spread like wildfire. The world's governments scrambled to understand what was happening. Military forces moved into position, preparing for the worst. No one had expected an alien fleet to arrive. For years, Earth's leaders had assumed that alien life was a far-off dream, something from stories or movies. But now, with a massive ship hovering above them, it was all too real. The air buzzed with fear as leaders from all over the world gathered to discuss their next move. They knew the situation was serious. The ship wasn't a small scout vessel or a peaceful envoy. It was the flagship of the Galactic Empire, and the ambassador aboard was no ordinary diplomat. This was a person of great importance, sent by the most powerful empire in the galaxy. In the midst of the chaos, a decision was made. The world's leaders knew they couldn't handle this situation alone. They had to unite and find a way to communicate with the ambassador. The message from the Galactic Empire was clear: surrender or be destroyed. But Earth wasn't ready to give up without a fight. They needed a plan, and they needed it quickly. In the darkest hour, they turned to their most valuable asset, humanity's secret weapon. It wasn't a weapon of mass destruction. It wasn't a secret army or advanced technology. It was something much simpler: the human spirit. The same spirit that had driven humans to explore, to fight, and to survive. As the humans prepared for what was to come, the alien ambassador watched from his ship. He had expected fear from the humans, but he did not expect what he saw next. The humans were not running. They were not cowering in terror. They were preparing for a fight. The ambassador's heart skipped a beat. He had studied the humans, read all the reports about their history, their wars, and their heroes. But nothing could have prepared him for this moment. The humans had faced enemies before, but this time, they were facing something they had never seen, a power far greater than anything they could imagine. Yet, instead of crumbling, they stood tall, ready to face the unknown. The ambassador stepped forward, his mind racing. What would this mean for his mission? Would these humans simply surrender, or would they surprise him? As the ambassador's ship hovered above the planet, the sound of its engines echoed through the skies. A loud roar filled the air as the ship prepared to land, sending waves of tension across the globe. The people on Earth watched in silence, waiting for the next move. Would the ambassador offer peace, or was this the beginning of an invasion? No one knew for sure, but one thing was clear: the future of Earth was about to change forever. In that moment, the ambassador's eyes narrowed. He had underestimated Earth, and now he would have to face the consequences. The first step was already taken. The ship had landed. Now he had to meet the humans face to face and deliver the Empire's message. But as he stepped out of his ship, he felt a strange sensation. It wasn't fear. It was something else. Was it respect? Amazement. Something about the humans made him hesitate for just a moment. He was ready for their response, whatever it may be. But deep down, a small seed of doubt began to form in his mind. What if the humans were more than just a small, primitive species? What if they were a force to be reckoned with? The ambassador took a deep breath and prepared himself. The time had come to face Earth's leaders and learn what they were truly capable of. The moment had come. The alien ambassador stood at the entrance of his massive ship, his gaze focused on the humans gathering below. They looked so small from his towering position, but the ambassador had learned not to underestimate anything. The planet, Earth, was known for its unpredictable and resilient species. Humanity had never faced something like the Galactic Empire before, yet the ambassador could see the determined glint in their eyes. These humans weren't scared. They were ready. He watched as Earth's leaders, military generals, and scientists assembled in a circle, all prepared for a first encounter with the unknown. The air was thick with tension as Earth's finest stepped forward, trying to understand the situation. The ambassador had prepared for hostility, but he didn't expect such calm and calculated responses from these humans. They were discussing the arrival as though it were just another diplomatic meeting, not the first time an alien race had ever visited their planet. "Contact," one of Earth's top diplomats whispered as she adjusted her communication device. The message had to be delivered carefully. Any mistake could lead to war. "Send the signal," another officer said. It was time to communicate. Without any hesitation, a holographic interface appeared in front of the group, and a message was sent to the ambassador's ship. The humans had no idea what to expect in return. What if the ambassador was here for conquest, ready to destroy them with a wave of his hand? They had to be cautious, but also show strength. They were not going to back down without a fight. The ambassador was intrigued. For all their primitive technology, these humans had made an attempt at communication. He pressed a small button on his ship's console. The alien language filled the communication system. At first, it sounded like nothing but an incomprehensible string of foreign sounds, but then the human's translator kicked in. The message was clear. "I am Ambassador Zathor of the Galactic Empire. I have come to Earth to assess your species' potential. Prepare yourselves." The message sent chills down the spines of everyone on Earth. Prepare yourselves. What did that even mean? Was the ambassador's arrival simply a warning? Or was it a declaration of war? The silence was unbearable as everyone waited for the next move. For a brief moment, there was nothing but the hum of the ambassador's ship, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the ambassador stepped forward, lowering the ship's ramp. His tall, imposing figure cast a shadow over the humans standing below. His eyes scanned the humans, and the crowd of leaders slowly parted to give way to their own representative. This was it. The Earth leader, President Jackson, stepped forward with his hand held high. A few tense seconds passed before he spoke, his voice firm but not without uncertainty. "We come in peace, Ambassador Zathor. We do not seek conflict. But if war is your choice, we will defend ourselves." The ambassador raised an eyebrow. The human's words were bold, but he could feel something more behind them. Was it pride or fear? Perhaps both. The ambassador was ready to bring about the full might of the Galactic Empire, but he couldn't shake the feeling that these humans were hiding something more than just defiance. He felt a strange sense of respect. Before the ambassador could respond, a strange noise echoed through the air. The ground beneath them rumbled slightly, and a loud crack sounded from the direction of Earth's military base. Everyone turned toward the source of the noise, confusion on their faces. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in the sky, and another ship, this time human-made, suddenly shot up from Earth's atmosphere. The ship's design was crude compared to the ambassador's, but it was fast, and it was armed. It was humanity's first weapon designed to face an intergalactic threat. The crowd gasped. Was this a declaration of war, or a sign of humanity's resilience? The ambassador stood motionless, a strange feeling stirring inside him. He had underestimated these humans. In his mind, the galaxy had always been about power, technology, and advanced weapons. But this was something else. This was not simply a species trying to survive. This was a species willing to fight, no matter how far they had to reach, no matter the odds. A low hum filled the air, and the ambassador's ship began to respond. The human ship had clearly drawn its attention, and now the ambassador understood. Humanity was ready to do whatever it took to protect itself. Before the tension could escalate further, a second message came through. The human fleet leader, Commander Liu, spoke urgently, her voice trembling, yet firm. Ambassador Zathor, we do not wish for this to escalate. We are prepared to negotiate, but we will not back down. This is our home. The ambassador's heart raced as he processed the message. What was he dealing with? A species that had barely begun to understand the cosmos, but was ready to throw everything they had to protect their world. He had faced wars across the galaxy, had seen the destruction of entire civilizations, but this was different. This was not the fear of a dying species. No, this was the will of something much more dangerous. The will to survive at any cost. He studied the humans carefully. They were not as technologically advanced as the Empire, but their spirit was unlike anything the ambassador had seen in all his years. For the first time in a long while, the ambassador felt the hint of uncertainty. What if the humans were not just a species to conquer? What if they were something more? The ambassador took one step forward, his voice now carrying the weight of his decision. We will see how far your strength goes, humans. The Galactic Empire does not forgive, but perhaps there is a place for your kind in the future. The ground beneath them shook once again, and for a brief moment, everyone on Earth could hear only one thing: the hum of the distant alien warship and the beating hearts of humanity. The true battle had only just begun. The tension in the air was palpable as Ambassador Zathor took a moment to observe the humans before him. The ground still trembled slightly from the sudden arrival of their makeshift warship, but Earth's leaders were not backing down. The ambassador's ship hovered just above them, its engines buzzing ominously, casting a long shadow over the group. As President Jackson and Commander Leo exchanged glances, the alien ambassador raised his hand to signal for silence. All eyes turned to him as he spoke, his voice booming with authority. You humans, you are far bolder than I expected. This will be a test of your resolve. The ambassador's words rang out, stirring a mix of fear and determination among the humans. They had no idea what he meant by test, but they understood one thing for sure. This was far from a simple diplomatic mission. Zathor was not here to negotiate. He was here to assess. And they could feel the weight of that assessment bearing down on them. Without further warning, the ambassador turned toward his ship and spoke in a strange language, sending an encrypted signal. A soft beep echoed from the distance as one of Earth's satellites began to pick up the transmission. The humans exchanged confused glances. What was happening? Was Zathor communicating with the Galactic Empire? Were reinforcements coming? I will give you a chance, the ambassador finally declared, his gaze unwavering. But understand this: failure will not be tolerated. The leader of Earth's military forces, General Sykes, stepped forward, his expression stern. We will not bow down. Earth has endured countless challenges, and we will fight for our survival. If you are here to conquer, you will face resistance. If you are here to judge, we will prove our worth. Zathor's lips curled into something resembling a smirk, though it was difficult to tell whether it was approval or amusement. Such arrogance, it will be interesting to see what your species is truly capable of. The ambassador then gestured toward the sky. His ship's lights flickered, and suddenly, a fleet of smaller vessels appeared, descending in perfect formation from above. They moved with eerie precision, circling Earth like vultures. The humans watched in awe and horror, realizing the full extent of the threat now hovering above them. But before anyone could react, a loud crack split the air. The human-made warship that had previously launched into space fired its engines at full power, accelerating toward the alien fleet. It was an act of defiance, one that no one could have predicted. A mixture of fear and pride filled the humans standing nearby as they watched the human ship rocket toward the unknown enemy. "Activate the defense systems," shouted Commander Liu, her voice trembling, but determined. Earth had no idea if their ship could withstand the might of the Galactic Empire, but it was their only option. The warship, as rudimentary as it was compared to the alien technology, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts at the incoming fleet. The lasers shot across the sky, striking the nearest alien vessels with bright bursts of light. It was a momentary victory, but the aliens were unfazed. Ambassador Zathor watched the attack unfold with an expression of mild surprise. The human warship was small, clumsy, and under-equipped, yet it had managed to land a few hits on his fleet. Impressive, he murmured to himself, but not enough. Without warning, the alien ships retaliated. Powerful beams of energy slammed into the human warship, shaking it violently. The humans could only watch as their ship began to fall from the sky, smoke billowing from its engines. But before the human fleet could fully engage, something remarkable happened. A signal sent from Earth's hidden underground base, kept secret from all outside forces, began to transmit across the vastness of space. It was a strange code, encrypted and beyond the comprehension of the Galactic Empire. It was humanity's last card, and they were about to play it. "Humanity's secret weapon," General Sykes whispered, eyes wide with anticipation. A few seconds passed, and then, out of nowhere, a massive surge of energy ripped through space. It wasn't just the raw power of a weapon. It was something else, something far beyond anything the ambassador had ever encountered. The energy wave pierced the atmosphere and traveled straight toward the alien fleet. The impact was instantaneous, and the nearest ships were torn apart in an explosion of light and debris. For the first time since the ambassador's arrival, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The force of the energy blast was immense, and the shockwave reverberated throughout space. His fleet staggered, retreating in the wake of the unexpected attack. The ambassador's ship, though still intact, was rocked by the blast. "What is this?" Zathor exclaimed, his voice filled with disbelief. The human forces on the ground watched in awe as the alien ship struggled to regain their balance. The unexpected power of their secret weapon had given Earth a momentary advantage. Zathor had expected to break the human spirit, but instead they had revealed a strength he had not anticipated. The humans had kept their true power hidden from the galaxy, waiting for this moment. Earth's forces were ready. Humanity had proven that they were not just a species to be conquered. They had something that the Galactic Empire had not prepared for: unity, resilience, and a weapon that could shift the tides of war. Ambassador Zathor knew that the game had changed. The humans were no longer a minor threat. They had become a force to be reckoned with. With a mixture of admiration and growing concern, he issued a command to his fleet: "Prepare for the next stage. We will not let this challenge go unanswered." As the dust settled and the sky darkened, both sides knew that this was just the beginning of a war that would shake the very foundation of the universe. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and humanity had shown that they would not be an easy target. The skies over Earth were filled with chaos as the alien ship struggled to recover from the unexpected blast. Ambassador Zathor, still reeling from the overwhelming power of humanity's secret weapon, watched the disarray with an expression that was now a mixture of admiration and growing concern. His once confident demeanor had been replaced with a flicker of doubt. This was no longer a simple conquest. This was war. Back on Earth, General Sykes stood in the command center, eyes fixed on the monitors displaying the alien fleet. The damage to the human-made warship had been significant, but it hadn't been enough to break their resolve. Humanity's secret weapon had bought them a momentary reprieve, but the question now was whether they could capitalize on it. "Report," General Sykes commanded, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. Commander Liu, who had been coordinating with the military forces on the ground, looked at the general with a mix of determination and urgency. "The aliens are pulling back, sir. They seem to be reorganizing. We've damaged their lead ship, but there's no way to know how long we have before they retaliate." The general's expression hardened. "We don't have time to wait. We need to hit them hard while they're disoriented. They've never faced resistance like this before. Let's make sure they know we're not just a target to be conquered." Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, Ambassador Zather quickly relayed the situation to his superiors. The blast from humanity's secret weapon had done more damage than expected. His fleet had been caught off guard, and the humans had shown a level of resilience that was not anticipated. But Zather was not one to be easily deterred. He had faced far more dangerous species than the humans, and he would not let one small planet derail the Empire's plans. "This is just a temporary setback," Zather muttered to himself, pacing in the command room aboard his ship. "They've shown strength, but they don't have the resources to keep this up. We'll crush them before they can mount another attack." Zather's confidence began to return, but beneath it was a growing unease. The humans had caught the Empire off guard once, and it was clear that they were not as helpless as the Galactic Empire had assumed. Their secret weapon was something to be feared, but Zather believed it could be neutralized. If not, the Empire's might would soon be enough to wipe them out. Back on Earth, President Jackson addressed the leaders of the world's major powers. His tone was grim but hopeful. "We've seen what we're up against. The aliens are powerful, but we've shown them that we can stand our ground. We have to keep fighting. We can't let them think they have us cornered." There was a moment of silence in the room before a representative from the European Union spoke up. "But we can't rely on the secret weapon forever. We need to prepare for a full-scale invasion. We need a plan that ensures our survival if they come for us with everything they have." Jackson nodded. "Agreed. But we have one advantage. They may have the numbers, but they don't know everything about us. We still have surprises left." The room buzzed with activity as the world leaders discussed their next move. Military plans were drafted, alliances were strengthened, and Earth's defenses were further bolstered. Humanity was fighting back with everything it had, and there was no turning back now. The battle for Earth had escalated to a galactic war. In orbit, Zather knew that the humans would not surrender easily. The attack on Earth had to be more precise. It had to be decisive. The Empire could not afford any more setbacks. He gave the order to launch a full-scale offensive, and within moments, the fleet moved into position, prepared to rain destruction upon the planet. "Let's see how they handle this," Zather said, a cold smirk crossing his face. "This time, there will be no mercy." The first wave of attacks came quickly. The alien ships, now fully regrouped and coordinated, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts toward Earth. The power of their weapons was devastating, tearing through Earth's atmosphere and causing widespread chaos. Major cities across the planet were hit, and shockwaves reverberated through the air. The damage was severe, but it wasn't enough to break humanity's spirit. General Sykes, who had anticipated the Empire's next move, ordered Earth's defenses to engage. Anti-aircraft batteries fired, and the remaining human warships launched counterattacks. The humans were fighting back with everything they had, but the alien ships were relentless. "The aliens are hitting us with everything they've got," Commander Liu reported, her voice urgent. "We can't keep up with their firepower for long. We need backup." But as the human forces struggled to hold their ground, something unexpected happened. Earth's secret weapon, the one they had hoped would turn the tide of the battle, began to charge up once more. This time, it was not just a simple surge of energy. It was something far more powerful, something that had the potential to cripple the entire alien fleet. In a secluded underground base, the human scientists worked furiously, tweaking the weapon's settings, pushing it beyond its limits. They knew this was their final chance to stop the invasion. They couldn't afford to hold back any longer. The energy began to build, and as it did, a sense of foreboding filled the air. Ambassador Zathor, who had been observing the attack from his ship, suddenly felt a ripple in space. It was the same energy surge from before, but this time it was amplified. The ambassador's eyes widened as he realized the humans were preparing something far more dangerous than anything they had imagined. This is no ordinary weapon, Zathor whispered in disbelief. What have they done? As the energy wave prepared to strike, the galaxy held its breath. The final clash between humanity and the galactic empire was about to unfold, and the consequences would be far-reaching. Would Earth's final weapon be enough to hold off the might of the empire, or was this just the beginning of an all-out war? The fate of the planet and the universe hung in the balance. The energy blast from humanity's secret weapon crackled through space, brighter and more powerful than anything the galactic empire had ever witnessed. The air around Earth seemed to shimmer with anticipation, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. The alien fleet, already battered from the initial attack, now found itself facing a new, unimaginable force. Zathor, watching from the flagship, clenched his fists as the deadly beam of energy grew larger and brighter. This can't be possible, Zathor muttered to himself, his voice laced with disbelief. His mind raced to understand what he was seeing. They found a way to enhance it. But how? He quickly relayed the information to his officers, his voice cold and controlled. All ships, prepare for immediate evasive maneuvers. We must not let them fire that weapon. If they hit us with that, it will be the end. The first few waves of energy from the secret weapon had caught the alien fleet off guard, damaging their ships and causing confusion. But now, as the human forces scrambled to recharge and aim the weapon once more, Zathor knew that the battle was not yet over. It was clear that humanity had something in its arsenal that even the Empire had never seen before, and he would not allow it to destroy his fleet. Back on Earth, General Sykes stared at the monitors, watching the progress of the alien ships. The battle was reaching a boiling point, and he knew the next few minutes would determine the fate of the planet. "We need to make sure they can't escape," he said, his voice unwavering. Commander Liu, standing by his side, nodded. "We've got a chance, sir. The alien fleet is still regrouping. We have to keep up the pressure." "We will," General Sykes said. "This fight isn't over. We've been underestimated for too long. It's time for the universe to see what humanity is truly capable of." As the energy from the secret weapon began to swell, the tension on both sides of the battlefield was palpable. The human forces were ready to launch the final offensive. On Earth, the forces below had successfully aligned all of their remaining weapons for one massive, coordinated strike. Meanwhile, in orbit, Zathor's flagship was preparing to retaliate, his pride and authority hanging in the balance. Zathor's ship, along with the rest of the fleet, now began to deploy its full firepower. Waves of lasers and missiles rained down upon Earth's defensive forces. The blast waves rocked the planet's surface, shaking cities to their core. The weapon's shield generator, while impressive, was beginning to weaken under the onslaught. Humanity's final line of defense was under immense pressure. But in the midst of all the chaos, something remarkable happened. The human weapon, despite being battered by the alien assault, began to recharge with even greater intensity. The scientists on the ground had pushed the limits of their technology, and now they were about to unleash a power that would forever change the course of the battle. Commander Liu's eyes widened in disbelief. "It's charging faster than before. We're going to fire again." General Sykes took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "This is it. Give it everything you've got." On Zathor's flagship, his officers frantically tried to adjust their defensive systems, but they were too slow. The human weapon was faster, more advanced than anything the Empire had prepared for. As the energy blast surged toward the fleet, Zathor's hand flew to the console, desperately trying to activate the shields in time. But there was no escaping the power of humanity's final weapon. The blast struck with devastating force, and the explosion rippled through the alien ships, one after another. Zathar's flagship shuddered violently as the shields cracked under the intense pressure. The ships closest to the blast were torn apart in seconds. The shockwave ripped through the fleet, causing panic among the remaining alien forces. On Earth, the people watched in awe as the energy beam blazed across the skies, illuminating the night. The sound of the explosion was deafening, echoing through every corner of the planet. The force of the impact rattled the foundations of cities, but the humans didn't flinch. They stood united, knowing that they had fought for their survival. As the smoke cleared and the energy wave dissipated, there was a haunting silence. For a moment, it seemed as though the entire galaxy had held its breath, waiting for the outcome. Zathar's flagship, now damaged and crippled, limped back through space, while the remainder of the fleet was either destroyed or retreating in disarray. Zathar, his once unshakable confidence now shattered, stared at the screens. This can't be happening," he whispered. His voice was barely audible, but his fear was clear. "We've been defeated." General Sykes watched as the remaining alien ships fled, their engines burning brightly as they retreated into the vastness of space. "It's over," he said, relief flooding through his veins. "We've won." But while the humans celebrated their hard-earned victory, they knew that the battle was far from over. The Empire was wounded, but not defeated. The fight for Earth had been won, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun. As Zathar's retreating fleet disappeared into the darkness, a new question lingered in the air. How far would the Empire go to reclaim its lost power? What would their next move be? The war was over, but the galaxy would never be the same again. The stakes were higher than ever before, and humanity had proven that it was a force to be reckoned with. The universe was watching, and Earth had shown it was not to be underestimated. The silence following the battle was deafening. For a brief moment, Earth stood still. The skies were clear once again, but the atmosphere was thick with the weight of what had just transpired. The people of Earth had just faced the might of the Galactic Empire and, against all odds, emerged victorious. However, General Sykes knew that this was far from the end. The Empire, despite its crushing defeat, was not one to accept failure. Back at the command center, the air was tense with a sense of both triumph and foreboding. Humans had achieved what many thought impossible, but now, as the dust settled, the true implications of their victory began to sink in. The alien fleet had retreated, but the damage it had caused to Earth's infrastructure was significant. Cities were in ruins, and the landscape bore the scars of the vicious assault. Yet, despite the destruction, humanity had proven that they could fight back. General Sykes paced back and forth, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on his shoulders. "We've won the battle," he said, turning to face the gathered leaders. "But the war is far from over. The Empire will not let this go. We need to be ready for their retaliation." Commander Liu nodded in agreement. "They'll come back. We know that. But this time, they'll be facing a different Earth. We've shown them what we're capable of, and we won't back down." Sykes stopped pacing and turned to the display screen that showed the status of the human fleet. It had taken a massive effort to build up their defenses and to develop the secret weapon that had turned the tide of the battle. But now, as the pieces of the Empire's fleet scattered into the unknown, there was no time to rest. The Earth needed to rebuild, but also to prepare for the inevitable next wave. "Prepare the fleet," Sykes commanded, his voice firm. "We don't know when they'll strike again, but we'll be ready. We need to strengthen our defenses and make sure we're not caught off guard again." As Earth began to rebuild, so too did the Galactic Empire. Zathar, humiliated and enraged, retreated to his hidden command base. The loss to humanity was unacceptable. In his mind, this was more than just a defeat. It was a challenge to the very authority of the Galactic Empire. The Emperor would not tolerate such an insult, and Zathar knew the consequences of failure. Back on Earth, reports began to trickle in from the far reaches of the planet. While the human fleet had emerged victorious, The Empire's retreat had been strategic, not an indication of defeat. Zathor had already begun to rally reinforcements, pulling together every resource at his disposal. A more powerful invasion force was being prepared, one that would come with a vengeance. As the weeks passed, Earth continued to rebuild. The destruction of the warships was a significant blow to the Empire, but General Sykes knew the peace would be temporary. The Empire was vast, and the loss of a few ships would not stop them from coming back stronger. The question was, when would they return, and how would Earth be able to defend itself against a more advanced and relentless force? General Sykes stood before a room full of military leaders. The time for celebration had long passed. We've won the first round, but we have to remain vigilant. We need to push the boundaries of our technology and weapons. We've proven that we can stand up to the Empire, but we need to be ready for what comes next. The leaders in the room nodded in agreement. They had seen what humanity was capable of, and now they had to prepare for the real fight ahead. Earth had a secret weapon, but it was still a mystery to the rest of the universe. The question was, would it be enough to protect them from the wrath of the Galactic Empire? Zathor, meanwhile, was on a mission of his own. He knew that the Empire's next move would be swift, and it would be devastating. The defeat was a wound to the Empire's pride, but it was one that would be healed with vengeance. The Emperor had already given his orders. Earth must be destroyed. There could be no compromise. Zathor, with his fury and shame, was ready to lead the charge once again. The Empire's war machine had been temporarily crippled, but Zathor's resolve was unbreakable. The next attack would come with everything the Empire had, and this time, no mistake would be allowed. Earth had proven itself as a threat, but Zathor would make sure that it would be eradicated once and for all. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. As Earth prepared for the next inevitable invasion, General Sykes' eyes were fixed on the horizon. There was no denying it. Humanity had entered a new era. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's strength, and now, the universe knew that humans were not to be underestimated. The countdown to the next battle had begun. The final confrontation between Earth and the Galactic Empire was drawing near, and both sides were preparing for the ultimate showdown. Would humanity's secret weapon be enough to defend Earth from the Empire's overwhelming might? Or would the Galactic Empire, with all its vast resources, finally crush the last vestiges of human resistance? One thing was certain. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and the universe would be watching. The day had arrived. After months of preparation, Earth was finally ready for the ultimate confrontation. General Sykes stood at the command center, his eyes fixed on the enormous holographic display that showed the advancing fleet of the Galactic Empire. This was it, the moment humanity would either stand tall or fall to the might of the Empire. There was no turning back now. The atmosphere was tense. Troops were lined up, ships were ready for launch, and the Earth's greatest weapon, its secret force, was prepared to take on the Empire once again. Humanity had shown its strength before, but this time, the stakes were higher. The fate of the entire planet was on the line. Outside the command center, the world held its breath. Every nation had united, putting aside their differences to face the Empire as one. From the cities to the countryside, people knew that this battle would decide everything. The skies above them were filled with the sound of engines roaring as Earth's fleet launched into space, ready to face the invading force head-on. On the other side of the galaxy, Zathor's fleet was already in motion. The Empire had regrouped, its warships rearmed and stronger than before. The lesson from the previous battle was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Zathor's anger fueled his determination. This time, Earth would be crushed, and he would take no prisoners. As the two fleets approached one another, the tension in space was palpable. The vastness of the universe seemed to shrink as Earth's fleet met the Empire's, and the first shots were fired. It was the beginning of an epic battle, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. General Sykes watched the battle unfold on the screen, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that the secret weapon humanity had developed was their only hope. The weapon was unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered. But would it be enough to stop the Empire's relentless power? The war raged on. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the two sides clashed. The sound of weapons fire echoed across the battlefield, and the once peaceful silence of the universe was shattered by the chaos of war. Earth's ships fought bravely, but the Empire's advanced technology and firepower were overwhelming. For every Empire ship destroyed, it seemed like two more took its place. In the midst of the battle, General Sykes received the signal he had been waiting for. The secret weapon was ready. He turned to his team, his voice steady but urgent. "Launch the weapon now," he commanded. The launch was a gamble, a risky move that could either save Earth or doom it. As the weapon activated, a pulse of energy shot out from the Earth's fleet, striking the Empire's warships with a force unlike anything they had ever experienced. The energy burst through the Empire's shields, disabling their ships one by one. For a moment, it seemed as though the tide of battle had turned in humanity's favor. Zathar's face twisted in disbelief as he watched his fleet being decimated. "What is this?" he growled, fury and confusion rising within him. His ships were no match for this new power. He had underestimated Earth, and now it was too late to stop them. But the Empire's pride would not allow them to retreat. Zathar, determined to avenge his humiliation, ordered a final, all-out assault. The battle intensified as both sides threw everything they had into the fight. Earth's fleet was battered, but the Empire's forces were weakening. In a last-ditch effort, Zathar ordered his flagship to engage humanity's secret weapon directly. The massive ship sped toward Earth's fleet, its cannons blazing. The final moments of the battle were a blur of chaos and destruction. Earth's fleet, though damaged, had held strong. And just as Zathar's flagship came within striking distance, General Sykes made a bold decision. "Fire everything we've got," he ordered. The result was nothing short of spectacular. A massive beam of energy surged forward, hitting the Empire's flagship with devastating force. The ship exploded into 1,000,000 pieces, scattering debris across the battlefield. Zathar's fleet, leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat, their remaining ships limping away from the fight. It was over. The skies cleared, and silence descended upon Earth once again. The battle was won, and humanity had triumphed against the odds. The Galactic Empire, for the first time in its history, had been defeated. General Sykes stood at the command center, looking out at the stars. They had done it. Earth had survived. But as the dust settled and the world began to rebuild, a new question emerged. Would the Empire ever give up on their pursuit of Earth? Could humanity's victory truly secure their place in the galaxy? The battle may have been won, but the war was far from over. The victory had been hard-earned, and the scars of the battle would remain. But for the people of Earth, there was no doubt. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. And as long as there was breath in their lungs, they would continue to fight for their survival. As General Sykes looked to the horizon, he knew this was just the beginning of a new era, one where Earth would stand tall among the stars, ready to defend itself against any who dared threaten it.